My name is Benjamin Craig Old.
Hi, I'm AP on the Unused Subs.
AP, what's your full name?
Alexander James.
Oh my gosh. No, he hasn't.
Is James your middle name?
No. What's going on?
How far back do you guys go?
We go pretty far back, to be honest.
Futsal.
Right back when what was it?
Futsal.
Under 11s, under 12s.
Oh, stop. So half a lifetime ago for you guys.
Yeah.
Literally.
But that was when I knew, I think it would have been around, 11 or 12 years old. It was a long time ago where there's this thing called the Auckland Futsal Academy back in, don't know what time zone or year, but that's kind of when we got to know each other, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty cool. That was when Oldies, like, your height was up to almost my ab or my abdominal, because you're pretty small, but you've grown now, so obviously it helps. It helps.
Oh, smart ass.
Yeah.
So you've always been tall then?
delivery. It's so consistent.
That was so bad.
In fairness, I have seen you. Were you the captain of the academy team at the Phoenix?
I don't think all the time, but
No.
maybe
This
for
must
some
be-
games.
I did, and
But
you looked very young, mate. Yeah, you were
Yeah.
playing against like 18-year-olds, and
I was so small until like
low centre of gravity. I
18,
think is
19, yeah. All the Auckland tournaments and stuff, there's so many photos, just I'm literally so small.
Yeah. Well, good
Thankfully,
that
I've
you've
grown.
had that growth spurt, eh?
Yeah,
And then get in the gym at NZCIS and just squat all day.
literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you guys go down to the Phoenix together?
Yep.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah, so I was a part of North Shore at the time, and you're a part of Onehunga.
Sports, yeah.
And it just worked out we came down at the exact same time, so boarded since year 11.
So there was North Shore. There was a decent team. Was it Hibiscus Coast? Because you had Corbin Piper in that team.
Yes.
Yourself.
So that's how I met Corbin. I was at Forest Hill at the time, and Hibiscus was
R.I.P. R.I.P. Oldie.
Yeah, I know. Hibiscus was like the big team, and Corbin's mum got in contact with my mum and said asked if I wanted to go over to Hibiscus, and that was like the biggest deal at that time. So I went to Hibiscus for 2 seasons,
Yeah.
but that's when North Shore and Paul Temple came over, and that's when they brought a lot of people. So Hibiscus was decent then, but that's when I then moved over to North Shore with Paul Temple.
First time. That's your first big transfer to a team in green. You know?
Yeah, exactly. It was
Swings and
written.
roundabouts, bro. Swings and roundabouts. So you guys went down in the academy system, debuted around about the same time as well, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was first?
That's you,
Me. Yeah, debuted against Western United, which was surreal, just the way it worked out with them being away for so long.
So this is the COVID return game.
COVID return, it was
And
difficult.
Goran's down there as well.
Yeah. I was there. Epic atmosphere, eh? You
Yeah.
know, we'd been starved of football for, however long it was, 400 odd days or something to that
it was
regard.
tough for us because we'd been in the reserves doing well there, but there was a big split between the first team, so not training with them really at all, and then they come back, I think literally just like a week and a half before the match, and I've come in with a lot of other players and I trained really well, and Ufi just decided to give me a chance on the bench, and then before I knew, Paul Temple called my family to tell them, so they all came down for the game just in case, and the game
sick.
Brilliant.
just worked out perfectly with going 3-0 up, because I knew there had to be a bit of a distance for me to come on, and was able to get 10 minutes, and that kind of just like kick-started everything from there.
Brilliant, mate.
Just on that note as well, because I remember I was watching Oldie play. I was in the stands when he came on, made his debut, and I think was it like the first touch on the ball and you make someone, and
Oh,
the
thanks,
ball,
man.
and
I
and the
appreciate it.
I'm pretty sure the crowd just roared, and we were just like,
Yeah.
whoa, this is crazy, you know. It was just amazing for him to come on and then make, the crowd feel
Just to
that
get that
type of
reaction.
buzz,
Yeah.
just have that buzz. So that was kind of a sick sight to see from the stands, and then also just it's kind of like a wholesome moment, coming down together and then making his debut as well. So it was kind of cool to be in the stands and enjoy that moment all together.
You got your opportunity in the cup, though, didn't you? And what you did, saving those, 3 penalties
Yeah.
in the shootout. It's just part of New Zealand football folklore now, isn't it? Do you think that's really set yourself up for what you've gone on to achieve? The first opportunity you got, you showed everybody how bloody damn good you are.
Yeah, I think it was just the timing aspect of it as well. It was just, it's just a bit unfortunate that Oldie went down injured with his hip flex, and then I was able to make my debut as well against Sydney FC, and then I think just having that opportunity during that COVID season where they try to cram in as many games as possible, and it was a bit jumbled with like the FFA Cup, or the Australian Cup now, what it's called, and we were playing a lot of midweek games, and then we had the opportunity to play in the semi-finals, and then I think it was against Melbourne City, and then just being involved in that penalty shootout, and then performing, and then it was the quarterfinals, and then performing and doing that penalty shootout to help us get onto the semi-finals was kind of like a foundation for me, because I guess it kind of just helped to kind of put my name out there a little bit. So that was kind of like the foundation for everything to start, and then it kind of helped me along.
Definitely grabbed the headlines. I just looking at it though, mate, you've kind of come through the Goalkeeping Academy, if you will, the New Zealand football pathway. You've had Goldie, Ruben, and Goffey.
Yeah.
So what is that like, and how does that kind of prepare you for the situation where you're asked effectively to step in and fill Ollie's shoes, and then a year or so later you're then asked to step in and take the reins of the defensive unit?
Yeah, I mean, each goalkeeper coach has their different qualities and then also their personality skills as well, because if you look at Goffey and Goldie, they have their unique experiences playing abroad, and obviously with Goldie, working under him this season was fantastic, and then he's got his experiences with Celtic as well, so it kind of helped me shape my type of goalkeeping identity a little bit. And then we've got Ruben Parker, who's helped me kind of build a type of philosophy that I want to kind of build into my professional career as well. So they each have their different qualities that help me build that ideal goalkeeper that I want to become in the next couple of years or so.
Does that involve being a little bit taller? Because I'm not as tall as you, but I'm not far off, and I always...
Congratulations,
Thank
mate.
you, mate.
Yeah.
Cheers.
I don't think you're going to have another growth spurt.
At 37, I think that's done.
It's done. It's over.
But
I'm keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah, but you're not a keeper. You're an agile, nimble attacking player. You don't need to be too nimble.
Nimble's big one. So, are you the tallest in your family?
I am, yes.
Yeah.
I actually am the tallest in my
By
family.
how much?
Oh, it'd be a few centimeters, because my dad's probably the second tallest, and then obviously my brother Adam is just up to my shoulder. So, yeah, I'd say I'm probably the tallest in the family.
Just slip that in there.
Yeah, I just had to add that in. Yeah,
Yeah.
just to let them know.
No, because I think that's interesting, mate. Because I'm the same in my family, where I'm the tallest by 5-10 centimeters. I can see what you're doing.
I'm just shaking my head.
But
Oldie and I do not care.
I think this is really important, because going into the European environments, height is an attribute, and what you've been able to develop on the ball, and then I think also from the physical aspect to make up for what will be perceived by some as a lack of height, is really interesting. So is that something you've actively had to work towards?
Yeah, I think that's a really good point that you made, because when you have the ideal...
Just pause just for a second.
He's been kind.
Lousy question, just too nice to say so.
Well, to be honest, it actually is, because it's
It's so spicy in here.
Because when you have a goalkeeper who's not obviously the tallest of goalkeepers, and when you go
6'4", 6'5", yeah.
6'5", that's the kind of average over there in Europe. You kind of want to develop a strength of yours that can kind of separate you from the rest, or kind of make up for that height
on the
aspect
ball,
of it
right?
as well. So yeah, obviously if you're shorter than most goalkeepers, then having a particular attribute like coming for crosses and being aggressive, or let's just say, having the ball at your feet and being comfortable with the ball at your feet, then that can elevate your reputation as a goalkeeper and kind of hide away the fact that you're not the tallest of goalkeepers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's interesting that you use the word hide there, because I think you're right. It's one of those assumptions that's inherent in football.
Yeah.
And I love hearing about how you're aware of it, and also almost had to shape the career in a way that addresses the point before it's even asked. Is that something that you've kind of felt a bit of a weight of?
Yeah, a little bit. I think it's also just a mental shift as well. Just having that mindset to be I can't really change my height unless I go for surgery. But I mean,
Turkey.
Yeah, off to Turkey.
Do they do that over there?
Surely not.
Put you on the rack and stretch you out a bit.
By the way,
Ask David Ball about it. Sorry, Paulie.
He went there for something else.
but
Crazy name drop.
but In all honesty, is that why the hair was a little bit taller?
Oh yeah, I mean, let's not go into that because obviously
great.
a couple years ago that was a bit bad. And you know what? I have a bone to pick with this guy because
Oh, really?
you know why?
yeah.
'Cause
He hasn't spoken for about 5 minutes. So get
no.
involved.
I'm just saying though, like it would have been the better part of, let's just say 3 or so years where I've had that haircut, right?
Yeah.
Like the 4 on top with the 1 on the sides.
Yes.
As a best man, you think, oh, like let's have a word, maybe just get it trimmed, or maybe just have something about it. But he let me have that for 3 or so years.
Are you saying you didn't like your haircut?
No, I'm just saying, like I was obviously I
On
thought
reflection, you're saying.
yeah, on reflection, maybe he could have come up to me and be like, yo, as a good mate, bit of human decency to come up to me like, yo, maybe just trim it a little bit. But
So
he
you've
let me
provided-
have it for 3 or so years.
Okay.
Interesting,
Oldie,
interesting.
come on, mate.
Yeah.
Did you like the hairstyle?
Honestly, I thought there was nothing he could have done.
Are you
No,
serious?
I was pleasantly surprised. Like, I didn't expect, never even thought about him getting short hair. I remember him talking to him about it, and he said, like, nah, his mum would kill him if he went,
Oh, really?
went short.
Oh, no. Mum's been brought into it.
But I didn't realise how bad it was until, like, we've looked back at photos and videos and stuff.
I never ever thought that it was that bad.
Yeah, what?
Honestly.
See, now you guys just that's sarcastic.
No,
No,
I'm-
not sarcasm.
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
definitely not.
Okay.
No, I thought it was, like, quite original, mate. Like, it was, I mean, we don't have...
So you look at pictures
Yeah.
of yourself a few years ago and go, oh, no, what was I doing there? Are you
Yeah.
actually genuinely embarrassed when you look at those pictures?
Yeah, like sometimes you look at it like, wow, like I could have done a little bit better here, maybe styled it a little bit differently, but I just kind of went with the flow of things. I didn't really pay attention too much to my hair.
Okay.
And it was a
How
couple
this
years
is
ago.
Oldie's fault as well. This is good.
Yeah.
He's
Well, on the
he's one of my
subject of
best mates. He
Oldie,
was there
Yes,
though.
I mean,
you know?
there is an addition. I mean, have you provided
well,
feedback?
But you
let's
see-
get there. Let's get there
Okay,
because,
okay.
mate, your look has become, it's
Evolved.
very French.
Yes.
It's very French, isn't it? You've basically bought into this French lifestyle very, very rapidly because, when you were at the Wellington Phoenix, you almost had like a military look.
Yeah.
You had the very, very short, you could have come straight from the army onto the pitch, and now you've grown out the locks. The moustache is looking fantastic.
Thank you.
If you were to compare your looks, the military look of the Wellington Phoenix and the what we're seeing in 2025,
Sophistication.
yeah,
Thank you. That's a good word. I'm the same with AP. I hate looking back at myself a year or so ago with the buzz cut. I've done it a couple times just because I've just wanted to and it's just easy. But I don't really know why I did it. Back last year, I just wanted to change it halfway through the season.
Yeah.
It worked for then, but I'm wanting to look a bit better now,
Where's the mustache come from? We'll go straight to the point.
I don't know, it is such a French thing. And
So-
I just wanted to, after the injury, I don't know, just change up my look a bit.
Yep.
Just new chapter.
I get that.
the best thing about I call it like an Instagram reveal of your look, the moustache. I scan straight away for comments from David Ball.
Oh, yeah.
And when I didn't see one, I went fishing and I said, "Hey, Bally, what do you make of this?" And he's like, "What, the squirrel's tail on Oldie's face?"
I would have never got this in Phoenix with all of them.
No.
It's nice being over in France. I can't understand them, so I don't know if they're
Oh, yeah.
giving me shit or anything, but you could not get away with anything at Phoenix with Bally especially.
Yeah.
A senior player like that takes interest in you, is that important for your development? Does it kind of mean that you're now important enough to be, I don't know, subject to some attention, even if it's
Ridicule.
not always positive?
Yeah. No, it was very important for me, and I think that's kind of how, in a weird, twisted way, you're kind of in with the group when they start giving you a little bit. My golf helped me a lot at that time. Because our first season was over in Sydney.
I can imagine you're a very valuable commodity at that point,
so
mate.
I was like, this is perfect. So playing golf with them all the time, that really helped with that connection. But Bally was amazing in that period for me. We talked about last time with him, being able to help me get into that environment, help me grow. And I definitely miss something like that now, going into an environment, getting a bit older.
Yeah.
It was very good having someone there to kind of look up to.
Kind of
and
bridge it
copy.
across.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're so good at golf, did you play within yourself against the Phoenix? When you go out and play on the course, would you go, look, let's try and make this competitive. I'm just going to take it easy today?
No, I was so worried because they heard about my reputation. So
You had
they
the
already knew
reputation
what I
to
was
uphold,
at.
right.
And there are people like Ollie Sale, Tim Payne, like that are decent golfers as well. And I was like, I can't lose to these guys because that would be the end of the world. So I was so nervous playing against them. I was like, I need to at least beat them. And I don't play, they play a lot as well. I didn't play a whole lot. I kind of just like go in and out of it. So
Right.
yeah.
I'd love to be that good at golf, Oldie. We just show up when you want. You just do what you want. What about you from a goalkeeping perspective? Because it's a bit tougher, right? There's only one or two spots, and often as a young keeper, there's only one spot for you, and you're fighting off another young keeper. And then you get into the environment, and that's where the real work starts. So what was it like for you in that kind of developmental capacity? Just basically getting beaten up in shooting drills, learning from Ollie. What was the guidance like, I suppose, as well?
Yeah, I mean, that first season at the Wellington Phoenix, and I was under Oliver Sale there. I was obviously away at Chatswood with that COVID season. I think it was pretty important because it was such a tight-knit group as well. We're all staying in the same place, staying at Meriton Suites, and we got to see each other almost every day. And I think that kind of helped as well, just trying to kind of learn and kind of have that guidance and advice from them as much as I can. But yeah, it was a little bit different because it's not like a typical season where you can go out and talk to other people or kind of get to know them and grab a coffee. It was just more like you kind of just had the training sessions there, and you got to be careful about where you go because of COVID. So yeah, I kind of just tried my best to take up and soak up as much time as I can in those training sessions.
Mate, we've sort of not buried the lead a little bit, but a couple of days ago it was the A-League Grand Final.
Yep.
Which you should have been playing in. You should have been playing in that. Has the disappointment started to subside, given that you didn't go to the big dance and you didn't face Melbourne City in that final at home at Mount Smart Stadium?
Yeah, it definitely did hurt, especially because it was my second time being knocked out of a semi-final. It was
Same team, same score.
Same
It's
team,
unreal.
same score. It's just, yeah, obviously very heartbreaking because I know the capabilities within the squad and the players in general as well. We've got a very tight-knit group and everybody gels with everyone, and we've got each other's backs as well. And I think especially with the coaching staff and the community in Auckland, like it was such a special occasion to have everybody do so well, obviously win the premiership, and then we were one of the favourites to go in and be at the grand finals as well, and sometimes it just doesn't pan out to how you kind of imagine it. So
and how do you cope with the disappointment? Because you haven't had much disappointment in your young career, but when it's of that magnitude and it's the second time that it's occurred, how do you cope personally?
Yeah, I just try my best to just have some space to myself. You can ask Oldie a little bit. I just kind of go incognito. I don't really go on my phone as much and just try to spend
introvert time.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I just trying to make sure that I can just spend some quality time with myself, and I just do things that I want to do and kind of just be with my family a lot of the time, my friends as well, because I know that it's still very much a hard spot to kind of be in to lose something that big, within the A-League and then also for Auckland as well, because it's a beautiful city. The supporters here have been fantastic as well throughout the whole season. So yeah, sometimes I just like to keep to myself. Just
above the tunnel, I was chatting to one of the staff at Auckland, and I turned around and it'd been about, I don't know, must have been about an hour. We'd finished the post-match. I went and had a couple of chats to people, and you were still out signing autographs. There were still probably about 50 kids around. And then after that, you went and sat in the middle circle for what must have been another 15 minutes. So we're talking now hours after the final whistle. What were you soaking up in that moment? What were you reflecting on?
Yeah, it was just, I think more the case about the whole season, just reflecting about how great we went, and I think just the unbeaten streaks that we went on, the highs, the lows, all of that kind of happened at that stadium as well, especially in our first or debut season. I think just trying to soak it up at the middle of the field as well. And then obviously I was there with Scott Galloway's also, close, friend of mine. I call him a brother as well. And, we just took some time together just to soak it up and kind of just, take it to heart a little bit and just try to make sure that, we can actually feel all the effort that everybody put in to, make the whole season such a successful season for everyone.
How much of the A-League were you able to take in? over the course of the season? I'm assuming they don't beam it live into St Etienne. So, how hard was it to get a handle on it, and what did you make of Auckland's efforts?
It's difficult to watch, but it was streamed on YouTube, a lot of the games, especially the Phoenix and Auckland games, which worked out well. So when there was an opportunity to watch, I'd be able to watch, but I was always just keeping track. And the media side of it for Auckland especially is so amazing, so I just constantly saw it on social media. But it was just such a cool thing to see, not only with AP, but Auckland in a first season and my home city as well do so well. It was disappointing for Wellington. Obviously, they've had a very tough season, but it's so cool to see another New Zealand team perform so well in their first season.
You made your debut and your professional career started with Wellington. That's got to hold a really special spot in your heart. But was there a little bit of jealousy there where you're like, as an Aucklander, I would have loved to have been wearing the blue of Auckland and enjoying that moment with what I can only presume to be your mates in the crowd at time when you're spotting someone? Because I've seen my mates in the crowd, often embarrassingly, by the way. But but was there a sense of a bit of not jealousy, but envy, I suppose.
Yeah. It's hard. You can't really, like you said, I'm born and bred Aucklander, but Wellington started up and provided my career, so it holds completely different places in my heart. But it is very cool to see, and there is a bit of like, I'd be cool to be a part of that for sure. Like, I'm off overseas, and that's what I dreamed of, which is cool. But seeing them win and getting the opportunity to do what we couldn't do last season, it was very cool. Just the derbies, having crowds like that. Like, I ended up going to quite a few games when I came back during my injury and went to the semi-final as well. And the atmosphere there, it's such like a New Zealand family-friendly environment. It's so cool to be seeing a team like this get so much entertainment, really.
How does that contrast with France? Like you've just said, it's got a New Zealand tinge to it, and you've said it's family-friendly. What's a crowd like in France then?
Oh, complete opposite. It's so hectic. We're packing out. Our fans are amazing, as you've probably seen.
So to paint a picture, and we chatted about this before.
Yeah.
So Saint Etienne's near Lyon. Lyon is the kind of, I don't know, the bourgeois kind of club, and you guys are the working class club, right?
Yep.
Is that kind of the dynamic at play?
Yeah. One of the biggest derbies, definitely in France, but known as a very big derby in world football. So unfortunately, I missed the first derby when I was injured, but that was over in Lyon to start off with. We had 10,000 fans at training with flares supporting us. You're not allowed away fans at the stadium because it's too much of a worry with fights and stuff like that. So
in the derby or in every league game?
No, just the derby. So it's just what they call a lock-in game. So in Lyon, it was completely packed with Lyon fans. I was able to come back for the Saint Etienne at home game, and we trained at the stadium the day before the game, had 15,000 fans there, and it was just ridiculous playing in that.
Do you ever stand at training, or are they just rows deep around the field?
So the sides are like the ultras.
Yeah.
So there's no seats there. So you'll see them a lot, and that thing they do when they score is they all like rush down like an avalanche down. It's ridiculous. But we won that game.
Yeah, let's get into it then. Yeah, so this is the derby, and you guys need to win, right? So you're kind of flirting with the relegation zone at that point. You need points. And Lyon, well-resourced, they're in European football.
Yeah.
What's the result?
Yeah, we're in a really difficult stage. We were really struggling with all the teams down the bottom, but we're kind of in it. And the week before that, one of the close teams won, and this was getting towards the end, so we're really in must-win games. And this is a game no one's expecting to win, but as a derby, fans find it more important to win these games than to stay up in the league. So I was so happy. That was a big thing I wanted to get back for. So be able to come off the bench in that game and win the game the way we did, it was a memory I'm going to hold for.
Oh, how did you win it? Go on.
Well, we went 1-0 up, and there was just a different type of energy for that game. We performed so well at home because our fans are amazing, and we just took that in, just everything like clicked that game. We went 2-0 up, I came on, they scored. So I'm like,
Impact player!
Yeah. I was so worried at this time because I'm like, oh no, I'm going to come on and we're going to lose this game.
Oh no.
But we're able to see it out at the end, and it was amazing. That really gave us motivation to try and stay up, and we're looking really good, and unfortunately,
Just
it
didn't
work
quite
out.
happen.
Yeah.
So noise-wise, like, is that the loudest you've played in front of?
Easily.
Really?
It's almost like it ends up just merging into one. You can't hear the coach, can't hear your players.
So how do you communicate? This is
10
actually a really
no.
good point. How do you communicate on the field?
Well, it's the same anyway. I can't speak French, so it's not like it changes much.
Points and like, yeah.
Yeah.
You and Kate Taylor, mate.
Yeah, actually, on the subject of Kate Taylor, when we spoke to her a couple of weeks ago, we said, you're all the way over there in France, away from friends and family.
Yeah.
And she said, Ben Older's over here. And I said, have you reached out to Oldie? And she said that she had messaged you and you ghosted her, you blanked her. Have you responded to Kate Taylor yet?
I have not
really?
seen the message.
You haven't seen the message?
I'm not going to blame her. I'm sure it's come up. But
AP's also been ghosted as well.
yeah,
Oh.
let's
Oh,
go on to this.
I was saying that I'm not the only one to like miss someone's messages because I always
Right.
get blamed for that. So I'm saying.
Okay.
All right, I get
One
it. That
nil.
makes a lot more sense.
1-0.
That makes a lot
She
of
was
sense.
gutted, eh? She was like, we've been through a lot, come through the academy.
Yeah,
and
if
all
I
that.
saw that, I would have easily gone and seen
Okay.
it.
Just look down the camera if you'd be so kind, and maybe a message of support to Kate and an apology.
Go now.
Yeah. Just straight down the camera.
Kate, I'm really sorry for missing your message. I'm going to look on my phone. If it takes hours to find your message, I'll find it and I'll message you. I
Good
apologize.
man. Good man. No, that was nice. That was heartfelt.
That was
I
actually
actually,
sincere.
I felt that.
I like the little look down and then the look back up.
Yeah. Almost like a politician. AP, when you hear the stories of what Oldie has been through playing in front of a wall of sound for Saint Etienne, two things. First of all, how proud are you of him, given where you've come from? And second of all, how much are you looking forward to getting out of the A-League and playing some European football for yourself?
No, I'm extremely proud as well, especially because we've had such a long time together to, be going back in Scots College days, wake up early in the mornings and doing some training sessions together, and then even at the Phoenix Academy as well, to doing sessions together as well, and then, signing our first pro contract together to then all of a sudden Oldie making his debut, I'm making my debut as well, doing that semi-final run as well last season with the Knicks, and then we kind of both went off in our different directions to go to Europe together. So it's very special and it's a proud moment as well. And I think even that first game we started in the debut against Monaco, I watched that game as well, and it was just awesome to see how, you got not only just the Kiwi and, a top talented footballer, but a good human being as well to, showcase the talent from New Zealand as well in probably one of the best leagues in the world as well. So it's a very proud moment, and I'm just extremely grateful to be a part of his journey as well. But at the same time, on your second question, it just gives me a lot more passion, a lot more hunger to actually be involved in those games. And I think, was that Leon game and the derby? One of the fans, they tried to throw a gold coin at one of the players, and then it clipped, and it clipped like the referee or something like that.
So this was a massive game for us, like I said. And we went 1-0 up, and our fans are known for like flares, really passionate, and they often do get like banned for games. And there was a game before in a different game which someone started a fire, and they stopped the game. And
Started a fire?
And they lost. There was like a little fire
In the stands?
In the stands. So they stopped the game. They lost the game, and then something similar has happened here. One of our fans has chucked a coin. Good accuracy, by the way. Hit the sideline referee, and he's like, obviously freaking out a lot. So they've stopped the game. We're 1-0 up, and we all have to go back into the changing room, and we're freaking out. Like, we're 1-0 up. We need to win this game. They could stop the game. We had to wait there for like 45 minutes, not knowing what was going to happen. Eventually, we came out, played 5 minutes of the first half, then came back. So it was a very worrying time.
I'm excited because there's also the small matter of the Champions League final that was played this morning, and you got on the field against one of the most frightening football machines in Europe. Not only are they fantastic, now champions, but the average age is something like 22 and a half.
Yeah.
They are young. They could do this for another decade.
Yeah. It's incredible because PSG have had massive players in the past, some of the best in the world play for them. And on paper, looking at this team, you think, well, it is definitely the youngest, most inexperienced team.
Just lost Mbappe.
Lost Mbappe. Got big names, obviously, but compared to the past, you'd be like, nothing like the teams before. But just it shows just having such a close-knit team with a whole lot of young players, the way they play, it was just incredible.
Yeah, because you played, I think you came off the bench late March against PSG.
That was my first game back.
First
after
game
my
back. and they did you 6-1, didn't they?
Yeah, we
You
went up.
you felt the power.
We went up 1-0 in that game.
No,
It
that's
was
no. You
dominating.
don't want to do that. That's yeah.
And then it just was downhill.
Red
don't
rag
get
to a bull.
don't get an early lead. Do not get. An
Yeah, because they were resting a lot of players too. So I'm coming on.
wow.
I'm coming on with Dembele coming on at the same time as me. Etienne, like.
Wow.
come
So
on,
what makes it different?
Crazy.
How is it different, mate? Is it the speed? Is it the player's touch? Like what is the thing that separates a team like PSG?
The biggest thing that like I learned from a team point of view at that level is our team's the best example. We could dominate any team for sections of games, but those teams, any team in League One, but especially PSG, if you're off, like not your best for a little bit, they're just gonna kill you. It's not talking down to the A-League, but with the Phoenix, we sometimes didn't play very well, but we could like get through games, have a really good defense, pick a goal off. But if you're not like at your best all the time in those games, they're just going to find your weaknesses. You can't make any mistakes at that level. And I'm sure the higher levels you go, England as well, it's just like that even more.
Sounds incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
You can't have a quiet moment on the field.
No,
Otherwise, they just make it pay.
literally. That's why you saw our team have really bad losses in games. We were up and down the whole time. We had a very inexperienced team because it was a League 2 team coming up. And like I said, we played very well, but ultimately we didn't stay up because we couldn't keep our level.
I think that's the thing people don't appreciate. It's not that they do amazing things all the time. It's that if there's even half a mistake or someone's just even out of position by a little bit, they are able to absolutely crush a mistake. That's what I always found playing at that sort of level AP. And is it something that you saw in the Olympics, just as a small taste of talking about time in France?
Yeah, I agree. I think playing against France in the Olympics as well, you can kind of have a taste of that type of competitiveness as well, because you've got so many top quality players there as well, and you have like, you know, Elise, and you've got Mateta up front and resting Lacazette, and you've got Ryan Shecky as well, who's
Oh my God, he's
all
still going.
starting as well. Like, you got those players who are coming on, and you're like, oh, starting as well. And you're like, oh, if you so as much make one mistake, then you're going to be so capitalized on that, you know?
Yeah.
Usually you're like, oh, there's a sub coming on. Like, we've done a good job. We've got rid of somebody. And then you see the sub coming on. You're like, oh, no.
World-class substitute. Look, we've been talking about Oldie's surreal experiences while playing in France. You've already had a wee taster of it, because obviously last off-season you went over to the UK, you went into Bournemouth, you met some of the players. I've seen the real Dominic Solanke was there, and you give him a hug, and that must have been an incredibly surreal moment. How do you think you handled that moment personally? You know, being a young kid from New Zealand, all of a sudden you're being shown around a Premier League club headquarters, having your fat folds taken, and this guy taking the piss out of you on Instagram as well for that. It must have been like, what am I doing here? I mean, obviously your performances justify the signing, but at the same time, like, this is what we all aspire to, Premier League football, and you're in one of their clubs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. It was a very nerve-wracking time as well, that whole week. You know, I was just trying to keep my head down and just try to get on with the training sessions as best as I can. And I think I kind of treated those training sessions as if they were like a game, because they were just so intense and so competitive. And I think as well, when you jump from New Zealand to Australia, going to some of those top 5 leagues, I think you can tell the intensity and the difference in how they train as well. It's just so competitive. And I mean, I remember like my first session in, and you know, I was trying to make a save and I couldn't even come near it. Like, my reaction was just too slow because of the pace on the ball as well.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they just hit the ball. They don't care, eh? There's a lot of velocity behind it, and that took me a little bit of time to get used to. But then on the same note as well, like, I think Bournemouth itself, it's a very family-oriented club. So even when I came in, you saw me, meeting Dominic Solanke, and I think the cool thing about it is that they have such a good family-oriented type of culture there, so I was able to, talk with everybody and, get to know them. And I think they're just fascinated with the fact that I'm a Kiwi as well, because someone was saying, "Oh, you from Australia as well?" And someone was just saying, "Where's New Zealand?" I'm like, "Cuz, come on now, man."
Yeah.
It was
Did
funny.
you draw a line there?
Yeah. Nah,
Probably
I
a
just
bit
wanna
too
be
early to be
respectful.
brawling.
Yeah.
mate. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, can't be doing that, eh? But no, it was really cool, and it was an awesome experience just to have a taste of that. And I think it's just something that you always want to, aspire to be in, because, with players here in New Zealand and Australia, they always want to shoot off to Europe, because that's where, the best of the best are, and you obviously want to be there.
I think as well, G, just to jump in, the two gents we've got with us today, very mindful, very self-aware, and also understands the mental side of the game as much as anything. Not necessarily just performance, but also how do you evolve as you step through your career. If you want to go and play in the top leagues in the world, there's going to be an adjustment period. So what does that look like, and how can I develop a toolkit to then step into those environments without, to your point, feeling like an imposter? That was very different from not even 2 generations ago. And I think it's something that's awesome, because it is very performance focused, but to AP's point as well, it's about that kind of holistic, make sure you're a good person before you are a good player. And that, I think, is largely outside of their skill set and outside of their ability to perform on the field, one of the reasons why they have accelerated so fast and so early in their careers.
Yeah, and look, I wholeheartedly agree with that. I suppose in our privileged position, you and I am talking about being able to cover Wellington Phoenix games, Auckland FC games, we can see who has their head screwed on correctly. And you guys are some of the most intelligent footballers we've come across, and that is definitely going to hold you in good stead. You as your forward John in France, and hopefully get back into the top league, and you, AP, as you head back over to Europe. I'm assuming, look, I shouldn't make an assumption. I should probably just ask you, seeing as you're here. This off-season, what does it actually look like for you? Because you're on the books of Bournemouth. There's been a lot of rumour and innuendo, scuttlebutt about where you might wind up, given what Bill Foley has at his possession. Where are you going next? Because I'm genuinely fascinated by that. What is your plan from this point on?
Yeah, I feel the exact same. I think it's just a little bit uncertain on terms of where I'm going to go next. But what I do know is that this off season, I kind of just need to focus on working hard and kind of being in shape as well. And I think going on a boys trip would have been very, very nice to go on, just to have a break as well.
You and Oldie?
Yeah, we're going to go on a boys trip, but it would have been.
Where, just to pause, where is the boys trip?
Bali? Nah, not Bali.
Spain, Croatia, and Italy.
There you go.
Oh,
Wow,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You sure you don't want to go?
Yeah.
He was gonna go.
Yeah.
Pulled out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. But speaks to the career first type mentality. But wow, yeah. Okay.
No, it would have been nice.
The discipline around it.
Yeah, it would have been nice. I love Italy. That's probably one of my dream places to go to as well, going to Venice. But yeah, it's just one of those things as well. You kind of have to make a decision for yourself, and I think I would have loved to take a break, but I also know that I don't really know where I'm going to go or kind of end up in, and I want to be in the best position and best shape possible in order to kind of put my name in that hat and kind of just go back and kind of prove myself to them at Bournemouth.
Because I was talking to Spoon before we started about how many players does a club have out on loan, and how difficult is it to reach out to them throughout the course of the season and make sure that they're on top of things. And apparently it's not that many players out of a wider squad that are out on loan. So one of the things that fascinates me is, what has the communication been like with you throughout the course of the A-League season you've spent with Auckland FC? Have they been talking to you about your form and what the next steps are?
Yeah, I've been in regular contact with the goalkeeper coach there, Neil Moss, at Bournemouth, and then he speaks a lot with Goldie as well, and Goldie sends a lot of matchday reports on how my week's been looking like in the games as well. And then I get a couple of text messages and also sometimes phone calls from the technical director there, Simon Francis. He just keeps me up to date, and we always have a conversation about how the game's going, and if I'm playing against a derby game or whatnot, he'll just send me a message of good luck and all the very best, and we're watching, and he also sends me messages in the last couple of games of the season as well, because he knew that we were kind of heading on to potentially winning the premiership as well. So they watch all the games and they tell me that as well, and it's cool because they always keep in contact with me, and then they do like a checkup as well on like my past 10 games and how I've been doing statistically, and they tell me about like the path route and what are the areas that I could improve on as well. So yeah, they do keep in contact with me as well in terms of how I've been progressing.
Okay, so let's have a group discussion now. How can AP improve? Oldie, what does he need to improve on, mate, to become the complete goalkeeper that's going to play in the Premier League?
I think we talked about it before, getting taller.
Oh my days, man.
And that's the only thing he needs to work on?
No, like, it's very cool to see because we've seen our development for 6-7 years, and I had no doubt the whole time he was going to get to where he is. I know a lot of people say that stuff, but never saw anything like him in a keeper, and I knew he was going to get to where he is.
What though, Oldie? Because I think this is important. Like, that statement is phenomenal, but for people at home, like, what separates a player like AP from
Jacob
somebody?
Spoonley. Is that not where you were getting to?
Can we'll just pause. Can we just have a chat outside?
No.
No, but what separates AP from another goalkeeper of his age? Jesus Christ.
I think the first thing, which is not even to do with his ability, is just the hard work aspect of it. It's not very easy as a keeper. Like, for me, I can go on my own and work on a lot of stuff in my game, and we'd go out and train all the time, and he would just be working on the exact same stuff as me, the ball work, the control, the passing, the touches. I barely ever saw him doing like keeper training because it's really hard
This
to
is
do
on the ball, out in the field,
on the
passes,
ball. We do
touch
very
under pressure.
similar stuff. If we had
Finishing.
games, and he'd beat us all.
Keepers love themselves as a bit of a striking option, though, don't they?
100% you went and did some finishing at one point.
Oh, I'm not sure. I can't actually.
I went and did some finishing. Sorry, I've cut Oldie off.
Oldie's nodding.
But yeah, that's the thing. Just like as a keeper, you think just like being a very good saver will get you where he is. But he knew from the get-go, being a very good outfielder as a keeper, that's the modern goalkeeper coming into play, and he was just fascinated by improving that as much as he could, and his touch and his passing was better than so many outfielders.
Scott Wooden's.
I won't say anything about that.
No, but I mean, the point you make, and it's something that we've discussed several times on this podcast, your ability on the ball is absolutely exceptional, and it's probably up there with the best in the world. And you spoke earlier about the futsal background. How important was that in developing your comfort on the ball? And Ayush, you must be well aware of the fact that you ruined the Wellington Phoenix the second you buggered off, because they could no longer play out from the back the way that they did when you were in goal.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of hard as well, playing in that game where we won 2-0 in the first ever derby. But I think, you touched on a good point as well, because I kind of knew from the get-go from playing futsal with my brother as well that I think if I can improve something that I knew, like, 4 or 5 years down the track in the making, where it's going to be very important to have a goalkeeper that's good with the ball. If you can improve that when you're younger and by playing futsal and just being comfortable on the ball, then that will kind of separate me from some of the other players as well, or some of the other goalkeepers.
It definitely has.
Kind of ties a little bit about the height aspect of it as well. Like, you have that ability to separate yourself and have something that's very strong in, and then you can, be comfortable on the ball and be used as almost a 12th man. Oh, sorry, not 12th, 11th man.
That's a real strength of yours. I mean, we asked Oldie to identify some work-ons. What do you think personally you need to work on to make that jump to European football?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think it's just...
Well, I think, to be fair, mate, he might actually be there in a lot of regards as well.
Already?
Yeah, because I think there's an assumption here that A-League's quite far off European football. I'll allow you to answer it, but I'm keen to get Oldie's take on this as well in a second.
Yeah. No, I think it's just I'll probably say the personality aspect of it is just, you go into environments that's overseas that obviously it's going to be a little bit uncomfortable because we're going to be so used to, the summer and, just being able to have friendly behavior here and everybody, gets along with everybody. But over there, it's a little bit different. You might not speak the language, and sometimes, it's a lot more competitive, and, they kind of look at you as somebody that's going to take their spot. So it's kind of getting a little bit comfortable as within yourself to kind of know why you're there and the reason why you're there, and then also just to kind of be kind of mold an identity around that, to be like, oh, okay, well, I'm here for a purpose, and I want to make sure that my personality is like being a good human being, regardless of whatever environment I'm in. Then that's will help me kind of improve and kind of gel into those type of environments. But it's hard, obviously. It can be a little bit difficult, but I think that's probably one thing that can be worked on for me in terms of that jump up into European football.
It's fascinating that it's a non-football answer, right?
Yeah.
You asked for development and self-reflection, and that awareness that we were talking about leads down the path of, okay, what do I need to do to facilitate the performance, not looking at the performance.
And it's something that Oldie mentioned when we spoke to you all those weeks ago, and it's about the personality and almost like being un-Kiwi, right?
Yeah.
Like we're so humble.
God, you've got
and
a good memory. I forgot
we're
about
We're so humble and we're so grounded, but you really do just need to believe in yourself and your ability and let that speak for itself.
Yeah, for sure. I think, and that is a good point AP said. If I was to give him something that I've learnt, being over there, and we talk all the time about this, is very difficult finding a balance between you want to keep your values and that character of being a Kiwi, because that's what one of his best traits are and what will get you here. But the biggest difference, which you were saying, between A-League and that level is not the technical aspect. It's not that at all. It's your ability to be able to adapt to the environment, but just you need to have that ruthless mentality. Every training, every game, you can't not be selfish or have an ego or anything like that, but it's really finding that deep confidence in yourself and really taking the chances when you get them.
How's Woodsy been able to achieve it? Because he's been doing it for a long, long time, and he's still humble, he's still grounded, but how has he managed to find that ruthless edge?
What I've experienced this year has taught me how crazy it is what he's been through, just to be able to suffer for that long, because you see so many players tried overseas, come back, and I completely understand what I've been through this season. I can completely understand why people don't want to be over there. There's so much suffering and so little returns you get from it, but it gives me so much respect for him that I already had about suffering through those leagues, through all the ups and downs to be able to get to where he is. But it is a testament to him that I know he has that ruthless confidence, because that's how he's gotten to where he is, but he can still keep that really good Kiwi side to him as well.
Because all the boys talk about how wonderful he is, how much of a great guy he is, but he is... Ruthless doesn't even do it justice. I mean, to understand what he's been able to do and how he's now cultivated this aspect of him, it's something that's really interesting. Perseverance. I like perseverance is the wrong word, but it's absolutely right. Like, you just kind of have to survive through the moments. It feels like, having spoken to players in your position in the past, the injury, just get past it, get on to the next thing. And then as long as you are, I love Jurgen Klopp's saying here, is that football's a train. And that at some point you get off and you don't get back on.
Yeah.
And so just staying on the train as long as possible seems to be, as weirdly enough and as reductive as it is, one of the core pieces of work that you need to be able to do.
And especially for me, I came in and it was, I guess it's a testament to the A-League as well, is that I came in and purely on my technical ability, I got into the side and was starting from the get-go. I never expected me to come to St. Etienne and be a starter and play the way I was playing. And I was like, oh, this shift is easy. And it wasn't until I had the injury, coming back from the injury, I really realised how difficult this is. And these are the challenges that you have to get through. Like you said, stay on that and really just keep persevering. It really tests you. Like you talk about how we're very good with the mental side and stuff. It's just a new level when you're there. You don't have a support system. The pressure is way higher. All the stuff that you worked on and you felt like you had control on back in New Zealand and Australia, it just like you just have to relearn it all again.
In one of your most recent posts, you say that this season was the toughest of your life.
Yeah.
And on face value, I can kind of understand that. The knee injury, the rehab, the recovery from that, being away from the team for as long as you were without being able to have an impact on their results, the relegation, being away from home as well without family, because you went over there just on your own. So you're in a different country, speaking a different language.
Wow.
How did you manage to get through it all and stay positive throughout?
Yeah, it was very difficult. Like I said, it was easy at the start, and I think having such a good start kind of hid all of those real difficulties. It wasn't until I got off it then I realised, this is really challenging, but it really taught me about really making sure you have a good support system, like talking to mates, talking to your family, getting them over as much as you can. Those things which you really take for granted when you're here and really make us Kiwis. I think you really need to prioritise having a good foundation off the pitch to be able to perform on it. It's the whole holistic mindset, and I think that's why New Zealanders perform so well, is that relationship.
We took the piss out of it, but is that why the boys' trip's important?
Of course, and I think before I was able to just keep going and not burn out. Here I could just keep training. I wouldn't take time off season. I'd keep going. What I've learned here is you really have to be smart with that. You really have to take time. As often as I could, I'd be going away for trips to get away from the football. Those things you really learn are very important, because you can't burn out. You don't have a chance to burn out, because if you go to training and you have an off week, there's players waiting behind who aren't in the squad that are going to take your spot, and then you're stuck. And I've seen players this season who I think should be starting the way they're training, but because they started off being out of the squad, they just can't get back in.
Can't get in there.
Yeah.
So the banter is very important, and even though you're on different sides of the planet, you got a group chat or maybe you do video calls or whatever. Let's get some stories here, because you can't be best buds for half your lives and not have any yarns. A couple of yarns about the other.
It's interesting. We've we flatted together in Sydney. That was our first professional. We flatted one time before that, flatted afterwards, boarded together. So we've just lived with each other for the past 6 years. You could say so many in boarding. I think a funny one to start off with is, it's not even ripping into him, but we were in our Sydney hotel and we couldn't really go outside or do too much. So AP as he was in his room, just juggling with a little ball in his room.
Oh no.
And for some reason he was holding his phone, and when he's juggling, somehow hit the phone out of his hands.
Oh no.
And you know, in apartments they've got the opening to the window, but they don't go out far enough for safety.
So it's
just a very small, it's flowing out,
No.
falling through, and I've just heard him scream. I'm like, oh no. What's happening? And
He's just watched his life fly out the window.
He's just freaking out.
What story are we on, Oldie?
13?
13.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
It's done.
Yeah.
It's toast.
Well,
Oh,
it's not
it
even
gets
finished
worse,
yet.
yeah.
He's just bought a new phone, I think, as well. So he's
how
thinking,
many
my
days-
mum's going to kill me.
How many days old is his phone?
Yeah, it would have been the start of July. Would have been only 2 weeks old.
Oh.
that phone as well.
No.
But the unreal thing is it's gone through, so it's fallen out, but there's little ledges, kind of
It's like a
maybe a
panel or
metre
something, yeah.
down, a panel that is angled as well. The phone's been able to balance onto that. So I found the phone and we're like, how are we going to get this?
Yeah,
You're still
try
13 stories up.
and
There was
fish it
13
out.
stories out.
You need
So
Alex
we've
Roof
done-
with his fishing rod.
We've done exactly that. I'm like, I've got a good idea. We'll get my golf club, put some blue tack on the bottom, and we'll just pick it up, and then I'll grab my putter and we'll just bring it up. Working all the way up to about 3/4, we're like, oh, we've got this. And then we're in an awkward spot and we're like, how do we do this? And it's just fallen and it's just gone all the way down.
The worst part is it bounced onto that panel, and then you just see, because it's pitch black, you just see it drop, and then from the minute you see it, all of a sudden it just disappears, and oh no, this is gone for good.
Yeah.
But we were actually more worried because that could have killed someone 100%.
People walk down
Because
there.
On the
people walk-
13th story, yeah.
Yeah, because people were walking down there and we were like, nah, this is crazy. Yeah, we were just more concerned about the phone, not if someone, might have passed away. But I mean, if someone has hit someone, you know what I mean?
True.
But
No, we were
it's
more
crazy.
concerned about the people.
But we were very concerned for both. I was just praying. I was just hoping and praying that my mom wouldn't wouldn't find out.
Wouldn't call you?
Wouldn't call me. Well, she couldn't. I think she was calling Oldie, to be honest. So she was finding out somewhere or another because I just had no phone. Like I just
And
wouldn't turn on.
it's not a believable story either. I was juggling, and then the balls
No,
hit
but
my hand,
that's
and then
The
it's going
phone
out.
just flew out of the.
How big's the
tiny
window?
crack.
Yeah.
But that's generally actually what happened. I was just juggling on FaceTime, and then I was just juggling, and then the ball actually hit up, lost control, and
Oh,
hit
so
my
someone
hand.
was on the call.
Yeah.
So they
Who's on the
experienced
call?
the flight out the window.
Yeah, I can't remember at the time, but honestly, it was just in my hand, and then they were just like, "What's going on?" And I think they just ended the call. Obviously, when they found out it was pitch black, but yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
That would have been a great call to be on.
Oh, where have I gone? I'm out the window.
Anything for Oldie? Something that's happened before a big game?
I'm not really good with storytelling, and remembering those
He's
type of
gonna
stories.
be
but
like me, like last time.
I have
We've got
heard-
so many stories.
we've
Well,
got
we'll let him think for a second. But I've heard, mate, that your pre-match is a bit of meditation and then also some highlights. You look through and you want to envisage what you're going to be doing out in the field. So
Yeah.
are they the same highlights each time, or are they
No.
specific to the team?
So I got into it the last season at Phoenix. I started clipping all my like best moments from games and stuff. And I thought it'd be cool to just like look at that just before.
Reassurance, right?
Yeah. And because that season I had some really good like dribbles and stuff. It was coming to be quite a cool highlight reel. So I just watch that before a game and just give me the confidence. Because you can look at other players, but I think if you see it from yourself, you just build that confidence for sure. So
What did your highlights package look like, mate?
My highlights package. Well, I think we were pre-YouTube, unfortunately,
Oh,
so that's
okay.
it wasn't
That's
wasn't ideal.
unfortunate.
yeah.
Yeah. 'Cause there would have been heaps, eh?
There were I
can
can't
think on
even
it.
remember what I've got in there.
it's a stitch up.
Yeah,
Right,
more
so-
highlights
right
than me,
stitch
mate. More highlights than me. Yeah. My highlight was probably ripping on Marco Rudan after you guys beat him 2-0.
Yeah.
At,
Did
Sky
you see
Stadium.
this?
Yeah, was that what were you talking to him about?
No, I wasn't
Was
talking
that?
to him. I was talking about him.
In
Because
fairness,
because
earlier in the day,
Yeah.
The beers.
he had the beers,
Yeah.
and I think I said something to the effect of, earlier in the day he spent 800 odd bucks on beers for the yellow fever, and at the end of it he's walked out of here a 2-0 loser. And I may have overemphasised the word loser a little bit.
but not to be derogatory to him, as you were kind of providing emphasis to you coming back in, right?
In the same way that Giancarlo Italiano would have left the ground a winner,
Yes.
he left the ground a loser. So it was just the truth, essentially.
It got picked up by the Aussie media, though.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. I
Yeah.
think it had something like 250,000 views in the
Yeah.
space of an hour.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but like I had a lot of respect for Marco Rudan because I think he's box office in the A-League.
Great.
I think the more eyeballs you can have on the A-League, the better. So I meant no offence by it, but that was probably the top of my highlight reel.
There you go. All right. The story about Oldie.
There's got to be
I'm
something.
trying
in
to think
there,
of
AP.
one.
All right. So are you going to have to pass on the story
Yeah,
about
I
Oldie?
am. I'll be the bigger man here. I've got
All
some
right.
stories, but
Okay,
I'll
I've got
pass.
one more.
Okay, go on.
Holy heck, bro! But on a real, like, how are you actually remembering all these stories?
You just have to go through all our flat experiences.
You've
This
been
was a
writing
recent
this down
one.
in the journal.
Yeah. So
and
it's-
waiting for
Started
this
There you go.
opportunity.
Yeah,
Our last flat was me, Suts, Nico, AP, and that was what was it? Moore Street?
Moore Street. Yeah.
As in the city. It was a very nice place. Not important to the story. But
No,
Just
Anyway.
nice to know that
you're painting a
Yeah,
visual
yeah,
picture for
exactly.
everyone listening at home. It's good.
we'd always just be like annoying each other. It'd often be me and Suts doing something to each other.
Yeah.
But this time AP goes to sleep quite early, and all of our rooms are right outside the living room.
9:30.
And so this was particularly late. We decided to like go to his door because we know he'd like go ballistic. And there's like a video of me and Suts like creeping up. We knock on the door, and he just loses it. He goes around, turns all the lights off in our place.
Yeah, good.
Becomes like a animal. And he's like, "Who's this?" And no one's wanting to like admit it. We're freaking out. And he's like, I'm going to start getting you all. Gets a whip, starts chasing us.
Where have you found that
Where's
from?
the whip come
Well, no, it's a belt.
Oh, sorry,
Just
belt.
Change,
Okay,
change,
yeah,
change
yeah,
your words.
It
Yeah,
felt
it's
like
okay.
a whip. So he's hitting
It's
everyone
been
until
been
someone
appropriated as a whip
Yeah.
at this point.
Oh, it was worse than a whip, I think. And then he's going around hanging us all as torture, and then finally Suts was like, "Okay, it's me." So he's like, "Okay, Suts, you have to take like a whack
couple
to
of
the bum.
lashings.
A strap.
No.
Yeah, pulls the shorts down, bare ass. AP winds up and he's so angry. Like, this has been done plenty of times before. I don't know how many times I've been whipped.
Is
by
this like a
guy.
discipline that's handed down in the flat?
Yeah, it's just
Must
right
be.
from wrong. That's what I say in the flat.
Yeah.
Right from wrong.
And he hit him so hard, and we've got a photo of it just bruising on his.
Oh no!
What end of the belt is he using? Is it the one with the buckle or
I
the
think
one
that was a
without?
buckle.
No.
Oh,
No,
that's
don't.
crossed the
No.
line. That's crossed the line. I mean,
Don't
you can
make
hand
stuff
down
up.
discipline,
No.
but it's got to be proportionate.
No, we're not. We're making stuff up here. Look, at the end of the day, yeah, he did something bad. I'm minding my own business. I was sleeping, and then they decided to come disturb me. And then I decided to take a little bit of accountability and be like, okay, let's just lock everything so they can't get out. And then I rolled down the blinds, and then I actually had, what was it? It was Samsung and speaker.
Did you have like the
Oh,
JBL
yeah.
vision on,
boombox.
or-
I forgot about that. He
Well,
put
I mean,
like
they didn't.
horror music.
Horror
Oh,
music.
He put horror music, so we went into our rooms, like holding the rooms, and he starts playing
So
horror music, and we
mentally torturing you.
opened the door, and he'd like chase us like a demon. Eventually, we went out, and
So that was the one and only time you got on his bad side?
no, not at all.
Oh, really?
Plenty of times. Started from
It was-
boarding school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
So I
was
don't know
funny.
how he doesn't have a story.
Yeah,
Could be
well,
so,
I
man.
just can't think of
I
the top
will
of my head.
write a reply next time you come on. You know, go
Yeah.
away, think about some things, write it down. However, what I'm hoping you're going to have more readily at hand, give me your best moments of the Auckland season.
Best moments.
Because
of
you've
the-
been celebrating, you've had the front row ticket for I think it's 8 goals on or after the 90-minute mark. What has been your favourites?
I think one of my favorite moments would have had to be, it would have been the Western Sydney Wanderers game where Nader scored that last-minute goal, and we were just at Combank away. It was hot, and it was 0-0, and then he just produces something like that last minute in the 92nd, 93rd minute, and he just scores a banger, and we were celebrating. And then I think another favorite one was just obviously Franny de Vries. We had played against Adelaide, and we were 2-1 down. And I think, you know, when he's got a corner and I'm up and, you know, it's the last minute of the game.
Were you up for this? So this is the 2-2 draw away in Adelaide.
Yeah.
You're
yeah.
up.
Yeah, I was up for it as well.
Were you going back post, near post? What was your run?
Oh, to be honest, I was just trying to...
This is a big moment, Oldie. Okay, so we need to break it down. You know, we don't
Yeah.
often get to go forward.
Yeah, so pretty much I came up thinking, if I get something on it, then I'll try my best to contribute to the team for the goal. And then I saw that Logan Rogerson was just like marked front post. I was like, okay, I'll try to draw one of the players out. And then there's that.
So you've
obviously
played a
golden
very
spot.
important role in the scoring of the goal. You
Yeah, I
drew
like-
defenders away.
No. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that much. I'm not going to
Why
take
they
Logan.
Keepers Union,
Yeah,
eh?
yeah, yeah.
But no, it's a good shot.
Don't even know why we're here.
What's that?
Don't even know why we're here.
No, we should just go to the bar and grab a drink, hey? You guys can finish this up and we'll have a couple of jars.
So
Yeah.
Logan scores, and then
Yeah, and we just went off celebrating as well. And I think that's like testament to Fanny's balls into box. The whole season has just been fantastic. Just the deliveries that he's had has just been pretty crucial at times throughout the season. So, yeah, I'd probably say those are one of my two favourite moments. And obviously the derbies. Those are probably all my highlights. Obviously the 6-1 and then I think the first home derby as well.
put us in the tunnel. Like, what are you hearing? What are you experiencing before you walk out?
Walking through that tunnel, I saw Sam, and he had that locked-in face, but he just obviously dapped me up because, you know, we have that history with each other. But you can just kind of see that double chin type of face with him when it's just focused, and he's got like that
Just
beard
tension.
coming out.
Yeah.
Just like locked in. I know like, he's gonna, you know, it's gonna be a hearty game. And then obviously walking out the tunnel, and then you're seeing like a lot of your ex-teammates, and probably one of the biggest games for New Zealand as well. It's a huge moment. And then obviously walking out, and you see like is it Tifos as well? You got
Tifo,
the banners.
yeah.
Sorry. And you got all the banners over there, and then you got all the chants going off, and it's just cool. And I think one of the sick moments that I had there was, I think when I touched the ball, I obviously got booed by some of the Phoenix fans, but the sick thing that I had with that experience was that the port was right behind me as well, and they were supporting me, and they kind of like overpowered them with another chant as well. And it was just, it's good to have that type of dynamic within New Zealand football, that rivalry to kind of ignite it for
100%.
seasons to come as well. So it's awesome.
How did the role of villain sit with you? Because I think initially when you leave the Phoenix and you head off to Bournemouth, everyone's like, holy shit, AP's off to the Premier League. And then the way things work out, loan deal with Auckland FC, and there may have been a little bit of spite, backlash, hatred online, and then the chance to go to Wellington and play for your new club against your old one. How did it sit on your shoulders?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think, just signing with Auckland FC. I think it was just a very intense period as well with the whole Caceres clause and not knowing if I can register to play in this season as well and if I was going to be in a kind of like a stagnant place. And it was a very intense period of time for me. But I think as time went along and then heading into that first derby game as well, it was very emotional for me, I felt, because especially just small things like when I walk off the bus. First of all, like last season, I wasn't walking off the bus to Sky Stadium. I was driving in with the boys as well from the flat. So that was one thing. And then when you walk down the tunnel, instead of going right to the home stadium or home changing room, you're going left as well. And it's just a different type of setting, different changing room setup as well. So that was like the first type of feelings where, you know, I was a little bit more emotional, like it's a big game and whatnot. And then even just like coming out of the changing room and then walking out, and then usually you see at the front desk like all the behind the staff there at the Phoenix as well, instead of, you know, wearing the colours of the Phoenix, and then, you know, you're on different colours with Auckland FC, like one of the rivals. It's a little bit emotional because you see them almost every day, to all of a sudden you only see them like once every couple, once or so.
Once in a blue moon.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think just walking out with the team onto the field, and then you've got the roar of the crowd, and then obviously like every time I touch the ball, you got the boos as well. It's just, it was a weird moment to kind of feel, because obviously we had such an awesome season last year, and to kind of have that, it was just like, you kind of had that switch on mentality to kind of just embrace it and, you know, take it for what it is and kind of go out there and just still perform to the best of your abilities.
When you look at what happened with the Wellington Phoenix last season to this season, and obviously you've all gone on to bigger and better things, it would seem. The decimation of the squad, Oldie.
Yeah.
Can you believe how quickly it changed? Because, you know, AP leaves, you leave, Finn Surman goes to the States, Zavada gets the move back to Europe, and then David Ball doesn't feature, he's released.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of this season, Sutts has gone to Perth as well as Scotty Wootton. There's huge change. In fact, I mean, when you look at the squad, it's only Roofs and Tim Payne that are still really there.
From the squad, I think it's the squad now.
Yeah.
That,
Costa as well.
Well,
He
he's
was there last
No,
season,
exactly. But it was 3 this year, and then I think it's down to 2. So the squad that started the match against Melbourne Victory, including those on the bench, I think it's literally down to 2 players now.
Yeah. So can you quite comprehend and fathom what has happened to that once great Wellington Phoenix squad?
It was such a shame. It felt like that was like building for so long. A lot of us were playing. That was my 3rd season, AP's 3rd season. We'd signed longer deals for that time, not knowing, because we hadn't really impressed enough up until that point. So we never had views. Finn Surman, we never had any idea that we'd all be gone at the end of the season, but everything clicked. Chiefy came in, all the players just performed at their best that season. And it's such a shame for Phoenix and their fans and stuff, because it was such an amazing season for all of us, but the reward they get for doing so well is we all go. And it was just one after the other.
Punished by success.
Yeah. It was like AP was rumoured to go. I wasn't sure what I was going to do, but no one was really in it. Just like a domino effect, everyone just left one after the other. So it is hard to see with Phoenix, because they're losing a whole lot of their stars from last season. Auckland's coming into the picture, bringing all these stars. It is difficult.
It's like that, eh?
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the Phoenix were there, and then Auckland surges.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be hard to watch as a former Phoenix man.
It is, but I've got no doubt. And then they're building a really good young group coming in, and they're playing them, and it's just going to be, I hope, what it was like for me in AP. It's going to take 2-3 years, but I think they'll get back to it. But it's just going to take that building seasons.
Yeah, and this is a point that you've made countless times. Maybe a little bit too early in their development arc, you know, like guys like Corbin Piper, who you've spoken about, a season under his belt, he'll be much the better for it. Guys like Sheridan Hughes,
Luke Brooks-Smith.
Yeah.
Nathan Walker. Yeah, it is a point that I think now needs to become understood, because it's part of the business operation of Wellington by necessity, I think, and then it will become part of Auckland as well. Is that you are punished for being successful.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the food chain, is that you then need to move on. And I think the stark thing is that it's just happened so quickly for Wellington. And that's been something that's been really hard to digest, to fathom. And to Oldie's point, just trust the process, because there's some exciting players coming through.